Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy?
But to tell myself that I was doing all right. There's nothing left to do at night, but I go crazy on you. Crazy on you.
Let me go crazy on you.
Oh.
Whether it makes you laugh, cry, scream, or fly, there's a song for every emotion. We're Mike and Priya, and we talk about the songs that make up the soundtrack to your life, because life is in the lyrics. I got the sniffles.
It's funny when you did the introduction, because you're like, whether it makes you laugh, cry, scream, or fly, there's a song for every emotion.
It's post-nasal drip. What can I do?
Post-nasal babies. Welcome to Life is in the Lyrics. What episode is this? I think this is episode 30.
29. Well,
29?
I mean, if you count some of our two-parters, then I'm not... do we count our two-parters in the...
No, they're just one episode.
Okay, so then it's probably like 37.
Well, welcome back, little listeners, to Life is in the Lyrics, where Priya and I talk about music and lyrics and that crazy little game called life.
That's right. So, Mike.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Something that happened on the way over as I was driving over, and I was just turned my head and I saw Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered, how do you spell donut?
DOUGHNUT.
Right. Okay. But when you write it in your phone,
Right.
Siri spells it DONUT.
Oh.
And most people, isn't that normally how you think of donuts?
Donut?
Yeah.
DONUT?
Yeah.
No.
No, eh? Okay.
Really? That's how you think donut is spelled?
Well, if you look up donut.
Spelled or spelt?
Now we're arguing two grammatical issues here. I can only do one at a time. There's a place called Unholy Donuts.
Yeah.
And they spell it DONUT. Glory Hole Donuts.
Yeah.
They spell it.
I know the owner of
DOUGH.
Glory Hole.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I bet you do.
No, not. You're so bad.
Okay, so then people ask, according to Google, is it spelled donut, DONUT, or dough, nut? And it says both donut and donut are correct spellings.
Actually, yeah, donut, DONUT.
Right?
Yeah, I have seen that.
Yes.
Tim Hortons donut.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to settle that.
And so how's it spelled at Krispy Kreme?
DOUGH.
Oh.
That's why I thought, and that sparked a whole thing in my mind for the rest of the drive over.
Wow.
This is
a lot going on up there this week, eh?
Not so much. You know why there's not so much happening in my brain?
Why?
It's mush from tax season.
Oh, you did your taxes. Yes.
I just finished handing in my tax stuff yesterday.
And?
I hate tax season.
Are you in the money?
No. You know, when you're a freelancer, you never are in the money because you don't pay taxes on freelance work, generally speaking.
Right.
So you have to pay it all at the end.
Eesh.
I know. But I did buy a lot of RSPs this year. So maybe I'll be in the money. No, probably not.
Do you have an accountant?
I have a first time ever in my life. At the ripe old age of 52, I got myself a financial advisor.
Nice. Very good.
Yes. So he is going to be doing my taxes, but I had to collect all the information, go through all the stupid receipts, and why I wait until 2 weeks before deadline every year.
You and everyone. My guess is they're really... The majority of people will wait to the very last minute to do
When
all
did you
this.
do yours, Mike?
I actually did mine this week as well.
Oh!
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I filed both Dawn and my taxes. I processed them.
Wow.
I've been doing them for the last couple of years because ours are pretty basic.
Yeah, I guess if you just have a T4,
yeah,
pretty much, right?
Yeah, and then there's, donation receipts and investment slips or whatever.
It's just slips.
It's all basic stuff. So I file... So interesting for me, though. I don't know why. The interesting thing. I got fucking lose this interesting word. I always say that. I don't know why I say things are interesting because I don't even know.
What other word can substitute? It is a great word. Don't judge yourself.
I know, but it's not.
Don't
I
go
don't
crazy
even know if this is interesting.
Judging that. Well, maybe it is. It's interesting to me.
Okay, well, let me tell you, let me finish and then you can tell me whether it was interesting. I processed all of the paperwork for both of us. And then I like to leave a little bit of time between completing everything. And then I like to come back to it after a couple of days.
You can
and
check your work.
Yeah, just make sure I got everything right. So I did. And then I submitted it on, I think, Thursday night at around 9:30. I submitted it through the tax system, NetFile or whatever.
Okay.
Friday morning, both Dawn and I got a notice from CRA to say that our filings had been processed and to expect a refund in our bank account next week.
Overnight, they processed
Overnight.
Well, I mean,
that's kind of crazy, right?
Did you do that on purpose?
No, I didn't.
Okay. That is fascinating because don't most government workers leave the office at like 2:45 in the afternoon?
Well, yeah.
But don't they?
I don't
most
think
government, I think they leave at like 4:00.
Yeah. I can tell you that as an administrative staff person in a bureaucratic kind of organization, that is not the case for administrative staff.
Right. But I'm talking about government staff.
Yeah, I know. But still, there's still bureaucrats that I know people that work for CRA that work in the tax office and they work long hours. And especially this time of year.
Well, yes.
It's busy.
I'm sure they work extra this time of year, but I am surprised.
I don't think somebody looked at it and processed it. It probably went through a system and they probably have some
I'm bored now. I'm bored now.
Okay.
Let's move on. Okay.
Anyways, so yes, I did get my taxes filed.
Okay. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Well, what else? What other exciting things are happening, Priya?
I don't have anything super exciting to say, but
okay.
I did want to just say this, that I walked out of my house and I was like, I don't want to tie my shoelaces, so I'm just going to put on slippers. Okay.
You walked out of your house with slippers?
With slippers, socks and slippers.
Okay.
Socks and slippers that don't match. Because I was like, I'm just going to park right outside his house and walk into the house. Of course, it does not go that way today. Right. So I try to park.
Right.
I try to park and it's completely swamped on your street. There's no place to park. But there's a lot of people parked on the other side of the street. I'm reading the sign, and the signs are intentionally confusing. No parking from December to May, except between the 16th and the 30th of every month, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, wait, so I can park on this side of the street? So I park there, and the guys next door to you say, hey, you can block our driveway if you want. I was like, really? And he said, yeah. And so I said, okay, thank you. So I get back in the car. And I try to squeeze in there, but there's not quite enough room. So then I'm thinking, I'm going to either have to do a 17-point parallel park or just forget it. And then I park on the street again. Then in my slippers, because I came out of the house, came up your stairs, so they saw me in my slippers. I'm like, fuck's sakes. Then I go back to the car. So now they're just, I don't think they cared, but now everybody can see my sandals and slippers. First of all, do you like my socks? They're cute.
Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah.
Very tropical.
But with
very White Lotus.
Turquoise sandals, not so great, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, my parking story is boring, but I was going to park illegally.
Tax boring.
I know.
Parking boring. You got anything exciting to report in? Funny. Crickets.
No, what about you? What's going on? Anything fun?
So where did you park?
I parked on another street.
And you walked in your slippers.
In my slippers.
Yeah.
And then I was like whistling too. I was whistling a song as I was walking. And I was just thinking, maybe I look a bit like a lunatic today.
Oh, jeez.
I actually didn't intentionally do that, but then I sort of did. Okay. I was like, because that's kind of where we're going thematically.
Yeah, it's true.
Mike, do you have anything you want to say, or should we just tally ho?
Tally ho. Well, yeah, I actually do. There's a lot of stuff that I want to say.
Oh.
Because.
About your life or about the episode?
About a life.
Oh, yeah. Please tell me.
About my life.
Yeah, tell me.
About life.
Love it.
Is in the lyrics.
It is.
So last weekend, you had my godson out at your place.
Yes, good old George.
My electrician
What
godson.
a great kid. I know he's not a
said,
kid.
yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 31 now.
I mean, that is a kid.
Well, to us, yeah.
I know. To him, he
But
feels like a grown-up.
He's an adult.
He
And
is an adult.
amazing guy.
Yes.
Oh, I wanted to tell you something, actually. George and his wife, Jess, were listening to our podcast on the drive out to Tara.
Aw.
And
Do you know which episode?
I can't remember everything about the episode, but it's an episode where I referenced my godson.
Okay.
And George was he told me this after. He's like, so yeah, we were listening to your podcast and you had mentioned your godson. You had kind of like, I can't remember exactly what he said. He was like, he kind of built it up and he was feeling quite chuffed because he thought I was referencing him.
Chuffed. I love that word.
It turns out I was talking about my other godson, Melissa's son, my other godson, Miles. So he was like, what the fuck? I've been waiting for him to reference me. And it turns out he's talking about someone else. Yeah.
But you have mentioned George before.
I have. I told him, I said, you're going to have to listen to other episodes because you do come up quite often.
Yeah. So you know what, George, you're just going to have to listen to all the episodes because you won't know where they are.
That's true.
Yeah. We do mention a lot of people. Actually, we mentioned our friends Matt and Nicole when we were talking about the one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
And so I had a funny exchange with Nicole on text today.
Oh.
Because I was asking her, I said, hey, Mama, would you and Matt be okay with us sharing the photo of you guys dress up as Gautier for Halloween? We talked about that costume when we were doing an episode on One Hit Wonders, and we mentioned you guys, so thought I would ask. And she said, sure, Mama. And I said, oh, Mama. We call each other Mama, obviously.
Yeah.
See how fast you reply when it's about sharing a photo of yourself? Such vanity. Also, please send us that photo to share. Thank you.
Can we share a photo that we don't have?
Hilarious.
Why do you guys call each other Mama? You're not a mama. Well, I guess
really
you're a mama of your cats and your dog.
Well, I don't know where it came up, but it is our thing now. And it's become funny because Finley, her daughter, she calls us Mama and stuff too. So then it's confusing. It's like, which Mama? So now we all have names. Finley is Little Mama.
Okay.
Nicole is just Mama. And I'm Big Mama. I think. I can't even remember now. You know what I also realized?
What?
My memory is not reliable.
Oh, wow. Really?
Okay. Take it easy.
Wow. I'm shocked.
When we were talking about Much Music and how they used to have those video parties with Monica Diol, and I said I had been there.
Yeah.
I don't think I was there.
No. You would have been way too young. Remember I asked you?
No. The age was fine because friends of mine were there. Because afterwards, when I was thinking about, well, those two girls were there because I remember seeing them on the TV. But I don't think I was there because I was seeing them on the TV. I was watching them. I was like, how did I insert myself into a memory?
Okay, well, that's also probably tied to the whole debate we had about us going to the dance class with, you said it was with Scott and Kelsey, and it wasn't. We're not going there. I'm still doing my update. Let me finish.
Okay.
So George was disappointed that I was talking about Miles.
Right.
And then when I was out at my family's for Easter last weekend, my cousin Melissa was disappointed that she didn't get a shout out in one of the episodes.
But we have talked about Melissa.
I know. So
Melissa, you got to listen to all the episodes.
She didn't hear her shout out. So Melissa, hopefully you're listening to this. Okay. Shout out to my cousin Melissa.
Yes.
What? Smelly Melly. That's what I used to call her.
Okay.
When Melissa was little, because Melissa's like 15 years younger than me.
Right.
So, when I was 15 and she was a baby, I used to babysit her and everything like that. And my siblings, we were all so much older than her, but we spent a lot of time with her. And with Melissa, she's going to hate me for sharing this, but when you tickled her, she would fart.
Oh.
So we used to tickle her all the time. And she hated it, but she'd just be farting away.
How old was she?
She would have been like 3, 4.
Oh, she can't help herself.
Yeah, no, she's a little cutie. Yeah, no, I don't tickle Melissa now. I don't know if she farts if you tickle her now. I'll have to ask.
Ask her husband.
Ask her husband, yeah. Okay, moving on.
Okay. Mike, should we get on with the show, as they say? Or the showgram?
Oh, listen to you.
Yeah.
And what are we going to edutain this episode?
No, you said you didn't like that term.
Yeah, I know. It's true. Oh, actually, one more thing. We need to do a mea culpa.
Oh, okay. Mea culpa or you a culpa?
Us a culpa.
Okay.
Listeners, little listeners, we are very sorry. Well, actually,
are we sorry?
I don't know if we're really sorry, but we just want to point out.
Yeah.
We're going to mea culpa here.
Okay.
Us a culpa. Last episode, we were really excited about announcing we got some
2 episodes ago, when we got our first email.
Yes, it was 2 episodes. Sorry. A couple of episodes ago, we got very excited because we had some mail and we talked about the email.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I just want to do a bit of a mea culpa because we have had other feedback that we didn't make a big stink about, but we probably should also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to little mea culpa to La La Land Ace. Who left a review on Apple Podcasts.
What did they say? And who is they? Who are you? La La Land which?
La La Land Ace.
La La Land Ace.
I don't know.
That's somebody in California.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Most likely. I want to know who you are.
So on December 4th, La La Land Ace left a review on podcast with 5 stars saying, listening to these two is like eavesdropping on the coolest people you know.
Oh my God.
I think La La Land Ace may need some cooler friends.
Hey, don't you say that.
Priya and Mike are so comfortable with each other. Listening to their banter brings a smile to my face.
Oh my goodness, that's a great review.
Yes, yeah.
I want to know who this person is because I don't think it's somebody that either of us know.
I don't know.
I don't
know
that
anyone
handle.
with La La Land Ace handle.
Me neither.
But I want to thank La La Land Ace for that review. And if any other listeners have comments that they want to leave, they want to leave a review, you can do that.
They sure can.
Leave it on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on.
We would be more than happy to read out all the reviews that come in. Feel free to share, follow, subscribe, all of that stuff that we whine about you doing every week. Okay, what are we on about this week?
What are we talking about
What are we talking about?
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And if we had a theme for Slay the Dragon Day, then we sure have a theme to acknowledge mental health this month.
Mike, would you say that we'd be crazy not to?
That's so true. We would be crazy not to.
So the theme is songs that use the word crazy or that sort of talk about that idea, that concept of going nuts in a not clinical way, right?
That was a very complicated. Can you say that again?
We're talking about the word crazy, but not the clinical definition necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, I did look up the definition of the word crazy, which I thought was fascinating because two very different meanings. Okay, so this is from the Oxford Dictionary. Crazy, mentally deranged, especially as manifested in a wild or aggressive way. Synonyms: mad, insane, deranged, demented. None of those sound good. The other definition is extremely enthusiastic. Synonyms: passionate, fanatical, excited. So I think many of the songs we might talk about or much of what we might frame today's discussion around is probably going to go towards sort of the second definition. But it's just an interesting, yes, I said interesting, conversation around the term crazy because it does have such loaded meanings, right? And we want to be really respectful of that.
Yeah. We want to acknowledge that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And and when we were thinking about the plan for this episode, one of the things we were having lots of discussion around was how can we have this conversation in a way that is respectful, doesn't come across as being dismissive or preachy, insulting or preachy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or mocking.
Yeah.
We don't want to mock any of that because I think we've both talked about some of our own experiences and, a lot of experiences that we haven't talked about. So let me start off by asking, settle in, folks, get cozy.
Do you remember when you first understood crazy in the context of a mental health framing?
Oh, I don't think I could pinpoint that. No. Do you?
No, but I was trying to think about that because I was thinking, well, did I know of anybody who was quote unquote crazy or mentally unwell when I was younger? And I don't remember that being in any of my life experience.
Right. Maybe they just didn't share.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe it wasn't talked about as much. But I don't remember even, like, you would think you would pick up something like that in the, just in interactions as you're growing up, and, oh, your aunt so-and-so is special or whatever.
Right. That's a very good question. And now I'm trying to think back on whether I knew if any of my friends or their families, were
dealing with mental health issues.
Yeah, and I don't think so.
No.
However, I once, like, when I graduated high school and my first love and I broke up, and I was going off to...
Because you farted and you tried to pass it off as your flip-flop?
No, for other reasons. Maybe that didn't help. I went off to university and he had to repeat the grade again. Like he didn't graduate.
Because you broke his heart.
I don't think so. I think it was the other way around, actually. But I had to go on Prozac.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went on Prozac for about 6 weeks because I fell into a little bit of a depression.
And so you went away to university at the same time that a relationship broke up.
Like our relationship,
those combinations.
Yes, like we broke up, I think, over the summer. And then I was heading off to university, and just that whole thing
very stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, being on your own now, you don't know. I don't remember if any of the people from my high school went to my university. So it was just like going into this whole new massive school, but like not knowing anybody, and then not having the same people in every class either. Like it was just, so it was a bit overwhelming. And yeah, my doctor prescribed me some Prozac.
Wow.
That I was on for 6 weeks, and it helped.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible how I could feel it helping. So even though so that's something that is, I was going to say interesting, but it is like, I could actually feel my emotions, like the heaviness lifting.
So you were glad that you got that prescription?
Absolutely. Right. I sometimes wonder if I hadn't gone to a doctor who was open-minded or whatever, and if I hadn't been prescribed that, I don't know what would have happened.
Did you know anyone else in that age that was taking medication for mental health?
No, and I think at that time, Prozac was kind of the medicine that people talked about.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody else in my age group that had been prescribed it. So I think for me, it was just like, I'm the first person I know, and I didn't tell anybody about it, but it really did make a difference. So that's my history with a little bit of mental health issues.
Well, when I was looking at, when I was doing some research about this topic and trying to figure out how do we, how can we frame our conversation in this episode with levity and humor, there were some of the common things that were in articles that I was reading about this was, if you're going to use humor and talk about mental health, then you really need to be talking from your own experience. So making fun of your own experience is appropriate. Yes. Making fun of somebody else's experience, not appropriate.
I agree with that. But humor has always been, for me, a way to cope with stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a way for me to help other people cope with stuff.
Little listeners, rest assured, this is not going to be a deep and heavy. Priya and Mike are going to spill the tea on all of their
we're not?
Mental unwellness.
Oh, because there's too much tea to spill.
Too much tea.
That'd be like the Boston Tea Party spill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your comment about, your use of humor to cope with your mental wellness. That was a common theme that came up in the articles that I was reading, and I can totally relate to that as well.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do? Just wallow in it?
Well, some people might. Some people might not be able to find the humor.
Well, yes, but I that's what I'm saying it sort of rhetorically, like for myself. Like there are definitely, are you a wallower? This is going to sound weird. Are you a wallower or a swallower? And I mean, do you wallow in your feelings, or do you just swallow them and push them down?
Depends on what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like to swallow my feelings.
I'm not touching that one. I know.
Can't touch the.
I know too many people that know me who listen to this podcast, and I don't want to be commenting on that. But anyways, that's good to know. All right. Well, given that we have a music element to this podcast.
Oh, really?
Let's talk about some music.
Yeah, music.
Music. I mean, obviously, I say obviously, but for you and me, when we think about songs with crazy, one of the first ones that comes to mind for me is Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy for You.
Yes.
I mean, right?
Crazy for you.
Touch me once and I know it's true. And then, of course, Patsy Cline, right?
Crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I love that song.
Yeah.
So when you look up, if you Google songs with the word crazy in the title, there's an overwhelming number of songs with the word crazy, which makes you start to think about how are they using that word and just how prolific and common it is to just toss it around, right? Can I just say something interesting about the song Crazy by Patsy Cline?
Say it.
Okay. Did you know that it was written by Willie Nelson?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. So at the time, his mood was negatively affected by his lack of stable employment. Like he was working like 3 different jobs, and he had a wife and 3 kids. On his long commutes to clubs, he compared his situation with those of his contemporaries and felt that the world was asleep, quote unquote. According to his autobiography, It's a Long Story, My Life, Nelson wondered if he was crazy and completed the song as if he were a man whose relationship recently ended. So the song is framed about a relationship ending, but it's actually about him dealing kind of with what was going on in his life.
Right.
So double meaning.
And did he record that?
I don't know if he recorded it himself. He had a very hard time finding people to record this. And even Patsy Cline turned it down. Like she turned down some of his songs previous to this song because it has, like if you listen to the song, it has very unusual musicality, very different chords. And there were 3 popular chords that country music used.
Oh, okay.
And this one didn't use any of them. It used a lot of like minor chords, which is very unusual. So he had a hard time finding anybody to record it. And now it's a country classic. It's like a country standard.
Yeah, well, Patsy Cline, I mean, that's always the connection. When if you say the word crazy in certain contexts, and people will definitely just belt out the Patsy Cline version of Crazy.
Without knowing that Willie wrote it.
Yeah, wow. That's very interesting.
Yeah. The other song I think that comes up a lot, flash forward maybe 30 years or so, is Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, i.e. CeeLo Green and Danger Mouse. I did not know that Gnarls Barkley was a duo consisting of CeeLo Green and the producer Danger Mouse, who I had not heard of before.
Wait a minute. Gnarls Barkley and CeeLo Green are the same person?
Well, yes, CeeLo Green is one half of the duo called Gnarls Barkley.
Gnarls Barkley?
Not Charles Barkley. You might be thinking Charles.
No.
Okay, yeah, Gnarls Barkley, yeah.
I actually thought Gnarls Barkley was a person. I didn't know it was the name of the band.
So did I. It's the name of a duo.
Well, there you go. I learned something else.
I know.
This really is edutainment.
Oh, see how that word comes back?
Yeah, I'm warming up to it.
It's a handy dandy word, yeah. And this song, if you want me to give you a little background on this one,
give me some background.
They said the lyrics for this song developed out of a conversation between Danger Mouse and Green, because Danger Mouse said, I somehow got off on this tangent about how people won't take an artist seriously unless they're insane. So we started jokingly discussing ways in which we could make people think we were crazy. CeeLo took that conversation and turned it into the lyrics that we know of in the song Crazy.
That was a big hit. Do you think it's a lasting hit, though?
It's very catchy. I mean, I don't think I ever...
How does it go again?
And I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Am I going crazy? Am I going crazy? Possibly.
Right, yeah.
You know? Do you ever wonder if you're going crazy?
Oh, yeah. There have been moments
what does that mean?
Sure.
Give me an example of when.
Okay, well, more of the deep, dark example would be I lost my job in 2019 or something like that. And then the pandemic hit and my dad died. And there's all this stuff that happened around the same time. And it definitely affected my mental health. And I struggled for sure. There was a period of struggle. So that's one. Okay. Another time, this was drug induced. But not that kind of drugs. I had pancreatitis and I was hospitalized for 6 days.
Okay.
And while I was in the hospital, they had put me on this really strong pain medication. I was hallucinating. Like at first it was just about dealing with the pain, but as the days went on, I really thought that I was going crazy because I was hallucinating. Don was there with me the whole time. I wasn't allowed to eat or drink or anything. So I was just on an IV drip and on pain medication.
How are they not feeding you?
No, through the IV drip, and that was it. So yeah, I lost 16 pounds in 6 days. No, 18 pounds in 6 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
Was it?
Well, so yeah, and that whole experience of like the hallucinations and everything, like
what were you hallucinating?
It's like there were people in the room and there were things happening that weren't happening. And it was this weird experience of where there's a part of me that knows that what I'm experiencing isn't natural.
Right.
But it's very believable. And there were periods where I was unsure about what was real and what wasn't real. Yeah. So those are two examples of where I thought. So what else have we got there?
You know, I did isolate one song by Luke Bryan, who's a country artist, a very popular country artist, and it's called Beautiful Crazy. Some of the lyrics are, the way that she dances, ain't afraid to take chances, and wears her heart on her sleeve. Yeah, she's crazy, but her crazy's beautiful to me. And I thought, what part of that sounds crazy?
What are the lyrics again?
The way that she dances, ain't afraid to take chances, and wears her heart on her sleeve. So the idea of just being so open to experiences and open and vulnerable. Yeah.
What was that second definition?
That second definition was extremely enthusiastic, passionate, fanatical, excited.
So maybe Luke was referring to her being really enthusiastic in her dancing.
Maybe.
Passionate in her.
She's crazy, but her crazy is beautiful to me. Again, just to kind of like, okay, so this is how we use the word crazy in music or, but when we talk about people being crazy, well, we do throw that word around a lot, right? Like, oh my God, you're crazy, Mike.
Yeah.
Stop it,
how many times did we use crazy before we got into the music topics? The musics.
If we could go back and count, probably a lot.
So yeah, I think we probably fall more into the second category of that definition, and we use it and it being prolific. Right. It being prolific is more around.
Although when I say to some friends, like if I'm thinking about, a friend who was telling me that they were going to get Botox recently, and I was like, oh my God, you're crazy. Like, you don't need it. What are you talking about? So I wonder, okay, I threw that word around, but I don't mean she's extremely enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I guess I don't mean she's, or he, whatever, mentally deranged. But what do I mean then?
Yeah, it is more in the first category. That is actually derogatory use.
Yeah, but right? I don't mean it as in like you're clinically insane. You are mentally deranged. I just mean like you're a little bit out of your mind to think that you need it. So that's a kinder way of saying.
I don't know. Accusing someone of being out of their mind. But that I think goes back to that's an example of the use of the word in a derogatory way versus,
right?
Using it in a way that's more light.
Yes, but I guess
I know your intention isn't to accuse them of that, but isn't that part of what happens with stigmatizing? When we stigmatize certain things, we can.
Well, I think there's a slight difference in stigmatizing and just normalizing. So when I'm saying to a friend that I think you're nuts, I think you're crazy, that you want to
whatever it is you want
to do, I don't mean that I think they're clinically off their kilter. I just mean you don't need it, and so you're. But
is that any different than saying to someone, "Oh my God, that's so gay"?
No, it's not. We normalize that term so that we kind of take out all the heavy meaning of it. Like, I don't mean mentally deranged, but it has kind of been watered down to meaning you are out of your mind, but I don't mean that in a brutally negative way. You know, like we've just kind of normalized it to just throw that word around.
I wonder though if people who do have mental illness would find that to be a derogatory
That is
use.
my point.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like we've normalized it, and so we say it without meaning for it to be offensive or stigmatizing, but I'm sure it comes across that way to people who are struggling.
Yeah.
And who hasn't struggled? Just because everybody might not have been on Prozac at one time or another, or taken other medication, or maybe hasn't gone to therapy, doesn't mean that they haven't struggled. I can't imagine a single person who hasn't struggled with their mental health in some way or another.
Well, that was one of the big learnings for me when we were working at CAMH was that there's so many different kinds of mental illness and mental wellness. There's so many different levels and layers of that. And one of the things I learned the most that I think was the most valuable for me after working there was that, and it's so obvious, I'm going to say this and it's like, well, duh, but that people are not their mental illness. So the use, like to say somebody is a schizophrenic versus somebody who has schizophrenia, is that the person comes before the mental illness.
Yes.
And that to me, I think is quite powerful. And, you know, even now when I read, you know, news articles, or if I hear news reports where they refer to somebody as a schizophrenic or a psychotic or something like that, I'm always like, it's not, it's the person with schizophrenia or the person who had psychosis.
Yeah. That's a really good distinction, because I think we just automatically resort to saying, oh, that person's bipolar, or that person's
they're not
whatever.
their mental illness.
Yes. Some of the other ways we bandy about the terms are like, if somebody's really organized, they're called, oh my God, she's so OCD.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if their mood changes, it's like, oh my God, she's so bipolar, like the way she acts or whatever. Or if you're sad one day, it's like, oh, are you depressed? Whereas like a clinical depression is a very different thing from just being sad or you know, upset or dealing with a hard situation. So we do kind of throw about these words and just kind of normalize them. But then in one way you take away their power, but in another way you take away the depth of what somebody who is actually struggling with OCD or ADHD or bipolar disorder, you know, you kind of take away what their life experiences on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I'm of the belief that we're all on the spectrum in some ways, and it depends on what's going on in our life.
Yes.
What sort of pressures we're experiencing. So sometimes our highs are really high, sometimes our lows are really low. And that for some people, the mental wellness side of things is even more extreme. So yeah, I think most people, I would think most people are maybe not diagnosable.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't mean that we don't also need to treat our own what we're going through, right? Like we've talked about this before with, you know, using music to help elevate and, like
absolutely
change the mood, how we're feeling, or even help us relate to the feelings we have. So listening to those like sad songs when we're feeling low.
Yeah, sometimes you need
to get us through.
Yeah, sometimes you need to feel the feels. You can't just push them away. Like sometimes it works to just listen to your favorite song and it'll just change your mood. But sometimes you need to actually experience those feelings, let them go through your body, and then you can come out the other side, right? It's like going on a lion hunt. You know, you can't go over it, can't go under it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, you
totally forgot that. Yeah.
You got to go through it.
Yeah.
You know, so that just came to my head right now. But there's different ways of coping with, and also like obviously using friendships, you know, reaching out, because people can't read your mind. So if you're struggling, like, you got to just know that there are there's that friend. I know I can always reach out to this person or that person. You know, you got to like rely on your friends, because if that's not what they're there for, then what are they there for? Right? But what are some of the other ways, coping mechanisms, Mike, do you think you have?
Coping mechanisms, exercise.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's sometimes, and we've talked about this before as well, sometimes it's hard to get yourself motivated to go out there and do that. But I could tell you, I know from experience that I always feel so great after I've exercised. Today, I got up, I had my coffee, I went for a run, and it felt so good. I got the music playing, and I actually did a little bit of extra running because I was just feeling it, and the music was going, and I was just like having a great time. And I probably looked like somebody who was a little off his rocker because my hands were doing all kinds of gestures with
While
the
you were
music.
running?
I was singing, and then there were certain parts.
I love it.
There's this song that's on my playlist by Lady Gaga called "I'm a Free Woman."
Okay.
And I'll play it for you after. It's a great song. It's like,
is it new?
No. It came out during the pandemic from her Chromatica album. There's a part of the song, I can't remember what leads up to it, but then she goes, "Come on, I'm a free woman."
Were you singing that?
My hands were going and my fingers were pointing.
Boy.
And yeah, it was great. I was like really feeling it. And I came home from that run, and I was just like, the endorphins were pumping, and I definitely felt great. Again, I'm not saying that this is the cure for everybody's mental.
Of course not.
Right? But for me, that's definitely a coping mechanism.
Yeah, actually, I had a similar experience today. I took the dogs out to the valley for a hike in the morning. So I guess the valley. It was like 8:45. It was very quiet in the valley. I don't think we saw too many people, but I get to let them, just run around and stuff. And I was listening to Billie Eilish, actually. And it was just like, so she's some of her songs are super low key and kind of like laid back and very smooth. And so I was just listening to her song, "What Was I Made For?" I mean, many others as we were walking.
It's the Barbie song, right?
Yeah, it's the Barbie song, which is actually such a good message to that song.
We've talked about it. Song.
Oscar-winning song. Honestly, like, who hasn't sometimes thought, what was I made for? Like, what is my purpose? But I was just having that experience and watching the dogs being so happy, running around. And it was just, to me, like the combination of music that I enjoy and being in nature, pretty much a cure-all for any sad mood that I might be in.
Yeah.
Or just a great way to start the day, just like set you up for like a good feeling. So I definitely think that being in nature is, maybe especially at this time of year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything's starting to bud and blossom. It's just so
hopeful. I always find spring to be such a great time because everything is starting to rebloom, like you said. And it's like the renewal of
everything. Well, little listeners, if you are experiencing any mental health decline or feel like you could use some support, there are loads of resources, thankfully. 988 is a national line here in Canada. And I know I've mentioned this before, but there's a movie with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Yes.
I think it's called Central Intelligence. And they went to high school together in the movie, but then they meet years later. Yeah. And Kevin Hart says to The Rock, who, when they were in high school, The Rock was very overweight and was the butt of many people's jokes. And Kevin Hart apologizes to The Rock's character for not kind of sheltering him a little bit more from all the teasing he experienced. And The Rock's just like, no, don't worry. I just took all those feelings. I just put them into a ball and I pushed him down. So don't do that, people, because we've all been there. You know, I was listening to Jelly Roll. Yeah. Jelly Roll was talking to the Smartless guys. I love that podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying like he feels like his whole purpose in life is that his faith is so important to him. And since he made it out of the prison system, his faith has led him to sit and talk with widows and people who are visiting food banks and ex-cons and stuff. And he feels like, I just want to be there to people to listen to them because that's often what people need. And he doesn't give them any answers. He doesn't give them advice. He just listens. So we might not know you and we're not going to read it out. But if you just feel like you just need to get it out, just write it down. in a journal or write it to us and at least know that you've put your thoughts out there.
Great. Well, that is very good advice, Priya. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And Mike, let's talk about what our little listeners have to look forward to in the upcoming weeks.
Yes.
What are we going?
We got some exciting things planned. Priya and I are going on a road trip,
we
people.
Sure are.
We going on a road trip. And when we go on that road trip, we're actually going to do some recording as well.
We are.
So we will be recording a couple of episodes when we head out to Tara next weekend, I think it is.
Yeah, that's next weekend.
And I believe one of those episodes, we're going to have a guest.
We have a couple of guests coming up, which is going to be very cool.
Yeah.
So next weekend we're definitely recording an episode with a guest.
With a guest. And that'll be coming out later. And then we have another episode planned with another special guest.
Yes, we do. That one will be coming out sometime
in June.
In early June.
Early June, yeah.
But we're also going to have our first what we're calling our happy hour.
Yes.
Episodes.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just going to describe what happy hour is going to be, but you know what? You're just going to have to tune in and find out.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And if you've heard us day drinking before, it's only going to get worse in this episode, but it's going to be hilarious.
Hilarious. Well, all right, little listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And a reminder, you can like, share,
subscribe,
follow, all of that good stuff. One of the things I've heard with a lot of podcasters say, it really makes a difference. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think just the algorithm picks it up and sends it out to more people.
That's what I think. So like, share, follow,
subscribe. Yeah.
All right.
We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.